Hey there, this is K4A, Knowledge for All educational videos and tutorials. In today's video I will try to explain how and when you can use GML visual drag and drop block which is called Set Alarm Countdown. As you can see on the icon there is some clock, and by the name of this drag and drop block you can already understand what it does and when you're going to use it. It's actually pre-made countdown in GameMaker, which goes from some number, some time which you define, like 10 seconds, 50 seconds, 5 minutes or whatever you like, and then when it comes to zero, when it counts down to zero, it triggers some code which you again define depending on what you need. It is very useful and you will probably use it in more complex games. And for example, in my game I can make some kind of spawner, zombie spawner, which will spawn zombie enemies after some time. So for example, I can make a new object if my mouse lets me. Create object obj zombie spawner, and I will add event. This drag and drop block is connected to one special event. That's important to emphasize, but you even if you forget that, somehow you will remember fast, because you cannot use this one without another. So I can, for example, add first create event and add this block which is under instances blocks. It says set alarm countdown. It has a clock on it. It's red color, and it says it sets the countdown value of an alarm event. So you can see you need some kind of alarm event for it. But anyway, if I try to drag and drop it into my create event, it says okay, alarm is named 0. Maybe I can pick some else here by clicking on this icon to the right, and I can see there are actually 11 possible. With 0 it makes 12 possible options for me. So I have options to choose from 12 alarms, and by default it's 0, and also I have this countdown which says 30 by default. So it will begin with 30, then go 29, 28 and so on. But how can I know if those are seconds, minutes, hours? It doesn't say here seconds, minutes, hours and so on, but let me try this one first. Plus it can add another one and another one, so I can add lots of alarms very easy. But let's concentrate on this number 30 for now. So what does it mean? It's some kind of time, but it's not precise in which measurements I work in. It's 30 seconds, minutes, whatever. So to check that, I can go to my file button here in top left, then preferences, and there I can see in general settings, I think there, you have some kind of maximum frame rate of the GameMaker Studio 2 editor. I think that defines how many frames per second I have here in my game. So by default it's 60, so I can change this to some other number, and I have other options here for settings. I won't go through them, but just let me see if there is frame rate, or it should be Yeah, it should be here under general settings. I think this one defines it because yeah, we will check that anyway soon. So by default it's 60. That means my game here, the one which I'm making here, goes 60 frames per second. That means that my step event here for my objects, this one step, runs 60 times per second. So 60 times per second GameMaker reads the code in step event, but also means that this number here, 30, is half of second because it's half of 60 default number. If I change this to maximum frame rate to 30, I think then my second in GameMaker game worth 30 frames, so I will cancel that. So again, if I change this one countdown to 60, now that means it's 1 second. All I wanted to say is that you should be aware that this countdown goes and it's connected to frame rates per second, so if it can be changed or used as you want, depending on your game, it can be bigger or lower number, but take care to define that in the start before you start making your game, or at least remember how many frames per second your game runs, so you can change that later or use it in alarms, like okay, I need 5 seconds. 5 seconds is 5 times 60 frames, it's 300, and so on. So if you need 10 seconds, it will be 60 frames per 10 seconds, and it is 600, and so on. So I will leave this maybe to 3 seconds, that means 180, but again I don't have anything here defined. I said okay, when my zombie spawner is created on the screen, so it's create event, set alarm 0, okay, and go from 180 frames or 3 seconds and count down. Okay, but what will happen then? Let me try to add this zombie spawner. I don't need a sprite for it. It can be invisible, but because we don't have any code in alarm event yet, it won't do anything. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, it doesn't do anything. Why? Because we haven't defined our alarm 0. So this code, set alarm countdown, it only triggers the alarm after some time, after some countdown, but you actually have to add that event here with add event button and then alarm, and pick the one you need. In my case it's alarm 0, so I will pick that one, and again it's empty. I have to code it. So think about it again in some kind of connection, like cause and effect, like condition and action. First I set my alarm countdown. You can think about it as some kind of countdown bomb. You put the bomb and set the alarm for bomb to explode, but after that countdown goes to 0, what happens? You have to tell the GameMaker, okay, after it goes to 0, do this. In for example, in my game, yeah, we can do even something crazy. I can go destroy, but destroy what? All. I think this, for example, now I have put this zombie spawner here in my game, and I said when this zombie spawner is created, and that is when the game starts, it's already in it, countdown 3 seconds, and after that trigger this alarm, and this alarm will do what? It will destroy the instance, but what instance? Self, other, no, all. So I think now all of my objects will be destroyed after 3 seconds, if I am right, which again can be used in some games like it works great. So it can be used in some games, for example, like if this is game over and you want to delete everything from the screen, then use this, like okay, game is over, I don't need anything on my screen, I will just show the some sprite, some image, game over, and that's it, and you should delete everything for me. And this is how you can do it easily. Destroy instance, again, all, and that was triggered, I think. Yeah, let me just check this once more and count down. To see if this will 1, 2, 3, yeah, so it's approximately 3, it's not approximately, it should be 3 seconds, but again this is 180 because in my file preferences, general settings, my frame rate is defined by 60. So if I, for example, change this to 30, now my frame rate should be 30, and now my 180 frame per seconds mean when I divide it with this number 30, it is 6 seconds. So now it will take longer. So now I will need 6 seconds to delete, I think, all of it. 1, 2, 3. Now again it's 3, or maybe I was too slowly on countdown, but again maybe I'm wrong about this preferences. This is maximum frame rate, and I will check this. It must be somewhere here, but no. I haven't used this in some time. Anyway, it's not of that importance for this video. We have learned what this drag and drop block, how it works and how you can use it and how you need to add alarm event. And now I can maybe disable my destroy instance, and instead of that I will now show you a couple of different uses. For example, to create instance, and I want to create which instance? This is a zombie spawner, so I want to create object enemy, which is zombie, and I want it created on layer instances, this one where everything is on my screen. I can add some kind of variable, I don't need that, and I can change my X and Y. I also don't need that for now. So after 3 or 6 seconds, I'm still not sure, my zombie spawner should spawn zombie. Here it is. It was created in my top left corner here, because it has coordinates of 0, 0, but if I check this relative, that means now my coordinates are here, because that is my instance of zombie spawner, and relative to that, to its X and Y, will be created. But I can maybe push it here in my top right corner and see now how it looks. and maybe try to avoid those a little bit. Yeah, you see how now it can it looks better, and you can even in GameMaker you can even push this out of the boundaries of your scene. So for example, if you don't want to be it was now maybe not really professional or good looking to see how zombie is created out of thin air, like from you can see here now. If I leave it this way, and now we already saw that, but just be careful. Now look at the top bottom right corner, and how this will, yeah, how it's created here, and it goes like it looks strange, it looks ugly for some kind of games. So I can push this a little bit out of the screen, and that way the player cannot see where my zombie is spawned from. So yeah, it looks more natural and professional, and that's all cool. But what more can we add here? I have spawned only one zombie, and I want more than one zombie to chase my player, and I can do that on a couple of different ways, which is great. And you can pick the one which is most the easiest way for you. But in this case I will use one yeah, it's not a trick, it's a feature and just to show you how you can you could use all of those blocks which we have learned today in different ways, and how you can how you should try to change your mindset to experiment and use them in different ways. So for example, if you just take a pause and think about it, what we have done here so far. I have said here to my spawner, okay, wait for 3 seconds or 6 or whatever, and spawn one zombie, and that's all cool. So that's all defined, but why shouldn't I use this code here in alarm once again? For example, can I say, okay, I have created this zombie, and then do that one more time, spawn another after 3 seconds, then spawn another, and so on. So make some kind of loop, some kind of cycle, and you can, for example, try to do this. Okay, when this instance is created, then trigger another alarm, and so on, and another, and so on. So you can use all of those 12 here, but because we have already defined here that we want to create zombie and we want to create it from this spawner here, we can just reuse that one. I can just say, okay, set again the same alarm 0, and set it after. I can even change, I will use the same 180, but you can change if you want to any other value to see what works best for your game. And now what will happen here? Let's go one more time, step by step. I have an obj zombie spawner, when which is created, sets alarm 0 after 6 or 3 seconds, I'm not sure only on that, and that alarm says what? I will create the instance of zombie, which is obj enemy. I will create it at x 0 and 0, but relative to this. That means here, 0 0 of this object here. Okay, that's all cool, and I will create it in my layer instances. Okay, and after that, what I will trigger that alarm again after how many 180 frames. Okay, and then what happens? Again, same thing, create instance, set alarm. Okay, alarm set 0 says what? Create instance, set alarm, and so on. So you go in cycles. And again, it's much better visually explained in Scratch and some other maybe game engines where you have some kind of cycle arrow showing this. But again, just think about it this way. Trigger alarm, okay, which is here. Okay, create instance, set alarm, okay, which is here. Okay, create instance, and so on. So you reuse the code and reuse this set alarm to make some kind of loop, some kind of cycle, and let's see if that works. So now I should have first one after a couple of seconds, and then after that one more, and you can see how soon there will be a bunch of those. Yeah, and I can even go here, which is yeah, it doesn't look bad. It's the only thing which I don't like here is how they stick one on another, like some kind of they should maybe keep the distance between themselves, but we have to code that. Anyway, you saw how it's easy to use this drag and drop block, which is set alarm, but you have to use the alarm event, and you have to add some kind of code in that alarm event also. Not only that, but you can make cycles, loops of those alarms if you want, by setting another alarm in this alarm, like I have alarm 0 and in it I have set alarm, and so on, and I can add as many of those as I want and go crazy and use other alarms and so on, but I don't want to confuse you anymore. So far so good. Just try to experiment with simple things, and again I hope it's clear to you how enemies, zombies, started chasing me right away. That's because when the zombie enemy is created, here his direction and speed will be this, but then in step event we have defined here that it should chase the player if its zombie health is greater than 30, and that's true, and that's it. So again, it's all about what you need, what you define, and how complex your games are. We are learning basics and some simple examples, sometimes couple of those, but it's all about experimenting and combining them and building something more interesting and complex. Thanks for watching. See you in next one. This one was kind of important, and the one which you will use in your games for sure, so that's why it was a little bit longer. Bye for now.